on how to attempt same IPMAT Indore specific mock. So our discussion today is going to be specifically with respect to an Indore mock and not just any mock. So we are going to get into details about how should you go about attempting each section, the short answer, the MCQ, and the verbal section. Okay, so since all of you, I'm assuming all of you are preparing for same IP, the actual IPMAT Indore exam, and very soon we are going to have our very first proctored mock of the 2025 season. So we thought this is the right time to do this session so that you get your test taking strategy in place. And as far as these aptitude exams are concerned, all the exams Indore, Rohtak, JIPMAT, NPAT, SCT, CUET, Christ, whatever exams that you're going to do, they are very different from your board exams in terms of thinking, in terms of approach, like for example, our tuition teachers or our parents are not going to be very happy. Even you guys are not going to be very happy if you're not able to attempt, let's say, 15 marks or 20 marks of your board exam paper, any paper, accounts, eco, maths, whatever. But on the other hand, on the contrary, here for the aptitude exams, we as mentors are going to push you, that you should not attempt a few questions. So that way, the approach is going to be very different when it comes to these kind of exams. So test taking strategy, at least I feel, is equally important as actually learning the concept. So whatever you must be learning currently in for your IPMAT preparation, equally important is that you understand how to attempt a paper, if not more important. So yeah, how to attempt and same IPMAT Indore mock is what we start. Khyati, I think we should be able to wrap up in like 45 minutes or an hour depending on the Q&A. Okay, so before we get into the actual how to attempt, just getting some basics out of our way. First is the paper pattern. Three sections: the short answer section, MCQ section, and VA. Two are conts and one is verbal. First is 15 questions, short answer. Then a 30 question section for MCQ and a 45 question section for verbal. Marks are +4 -1. Short answer section does not have negative marking, but MCQ and VA does. Okay, very, very important. Every section has a dedicated 40 minutes allotted to it. For the actual IPMAT Indore exam, there is a sectional cutoff also. So you will have to clear sectional cutoff of all the three sections. Remember, there is no overall cutoff. So you don't have to chase one number in somewhere in 200s or 300s. No, that's not our goal. We have to chase three different numbers, one for each section. Okay, so there are sectional cutoffs and there is not an overall cutoff for IPMAT Indore. This obviously changes our strategy a bit. How, we will discuss that in some time. Okay. No, Vatsala, there is no logical reasoning. It has only conts and verbal. This might be a surprise to a few of you, but yes, sooner you know it, the better it is. So roughly 45 questions of cont and 45 questions of verbal is what IPMAT Indore pattern has in store for you. Okay. How many of you realize this for the first time, that there is no logic in IPMAT Indore? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, so many of you. Okay. Yeah, Vatsala. Vatsala says this is shocking and sad. Yeah, it possibly is. But that's how Indore has been. They really want to test you on conceptual hold on your cons. But of late in the MCQ section, in fact, last 2024 in the essay section also, and before that in MCQ section, there is one set which can be called as a logical reasoning set, but that's only hardly 5 questions. So yeah, not a very, very dominant section, logical reasoning in Indore, but yes, Quant is very, very dominant. Yes. So Rudransh has a very obvious observation. Sir, I tried SimIPMs and it was way more difficult than usual Sim BBA, especially QA short answer. Yes, Rudransh, you are correct. And why you are correct, we will see that in the next slide. Okay. Ashish, what is the sectional cutoff? Exactly. So just wait for my next slide. That's what we're going to talk about, cutoffs. Okay. So I've put all the last 4 years cutoff 21, 22, 23, 24. If you see 21, 22, 23, only the 3 years, the bottom 3 years, 21, 22, 23, the cutoffs were 16, 20, 12, the short answer section. So until 23, the perception was that short answer section generally is a more difficult section as compared to MCQ section. If you see the MCQ cutoffs vis-a-vis the short answer cutoffs, MCQ cutoffs were slightly more, in fact, substantially more than the essay section. In 2024, this trend changed a bit. In 2024, the essay section was the easier one. MCQ became difficult. So MCQ cutoff was not very high as as generally it is. Generally, it is in higher 30s, 39, 40, 41. Okay, so it wasn't very high. But essay section got difficult. One thing that is consistent in all the three sections. Can you tell me which section? Obviously, VA. That section has stayed consistently easier to attempt, and hence the cutoffs have been higher. So, out of the three sections, which section do you think is the easiest? Just by having a look at the cutoffs, which section do you think is the easiest out of QA, SA, QA, MCQ, and VA? Most of you are saying VA. At the first impression, it absolutely is correct. But what I'm saying is, so in terms of level of difficulty, definitely verbal is the easiest of the three. In terms of level of difficulty, verbal is the easiest of the three. But very important is that every section has their own challenges. Okay, what are those challenges? We will get into that when we talk about each section in detail. Okay, so yeah, okay. In fact, some of you have told me that MCQ you find easy. Some of you said QA because there is no negative marking. But that does not guarantee that we get all our questions correct, or that is no guarantee of accuracy. So that's, in fact, that's a trap that you should avoid. But anyway, let's get into what we are talking about. So what is very important is what should, so before, in fact, getting into what you should do, because there is not one right answer for what you all of you should do. Different things work for different kind of people. So that you will have to do trial and error in the mocks and figure it out for yourself, what strategy works. What I tell you right now is what you should not do, and you may think that you may be doing one of these, so that's what you should avoid. Very important is when you start writing mocks, since this is the first mock of the season, you should not go in blank in terms of I'll see how it is, let me check what is indoor, what's in store for me, I'll see how many can I attempt. Don't go with such vague thoughts. Don't go with such, don't go with no goals. Okay, there has to be some strategy that you should try while writing mocks. In fact, mocks are those practice grounds where you should try everything possible that you want to strategize in the actual exam. So because if you don't go with a strategy, you will mostly be happy with whatever you manage. Okay, in the essay section, in the MCQ section, in the VA section. So and then there is no benchmark to evaluate yourself, that what did you think versus what could you do. Okay, so I suggest that you have something in mind in terms of I want to maximize my essay score, or I want to maximize my MCQ, or I want to maximize my VA, or I want to maximize my essay attempts, I want to maximize my MCQ attempts, I want to maximize my VA attempts, or I want to maximize all the RCs that I can. I want to maximize all arithmetic module questions. I will attempt all geometry module questions. Something has to be there. It's okay if you go wrong. You will probably go wrong in the first few mocks, but it's important for you to go wrong and realize your mistakes. Okay. But I'm saying go with some strategy, don't go blank. Okay, you are going to start this in the proctored window starts in the next 2 or 3 days time. So you have some time, depending on how much you have finished solving the syllabus, depending on where you are in your prep cycle. Please create some strategy for yourself before you start the mock. Okay. I want to talk about what you should not get into. Kanak, just give me some time. We will talk about it when we are in the VA section. Okay. So what you should not do in the exam. Uh, First, the short and sweet questions. Okay. Generally, people have tendency that questions that look short, especially in quant, or the questions that look simple, you will get into you will start attempting those questions. Necessarily not a very good strategy. Okay, it is may work some most of the time, or maybe some of the time, but it's definitely not going to work all the time. So don't go or don't filter your questions by the by the look of it, that whether they're if they're simple looking, or for example, I will not attempt something that has a log in it or a trigo in it or a functions in it. Don't do that. Okay. Don't select or reject a question depending upon your favorite chapter. For example, I am very good at profit and loss. Does not mean that I'm going to attempt every single question that I see of profit and loss. There might be a very difficult question of profit and loss and a very easy question for SICM. If I'm going to go by this favorite chapter thing, I will probably get stuck in a difficult profit loss question and miss a simple SICI question. So again, don't be biased by your favorite chapter or the favorite module. Very important. This is what most of the students end up doing at the beginning of their mocks, doing everything that come your way. So you don't really have this is what happens when you don't have a strategy in your head. Okay, when you just don't think, you just start solving. The moment the exam starts, essay section is started, first question is there on your screen, you start solving. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you get an answer. Excellent. You don't get an answer, you give up. You go to the next question. Put 2 minutes, you get an answer, you type in the answer. Excellent. Go to the third question, and you just go in the flow. Okay, not necessarily a good strategy. So don't do that in your mock. Neither should you do this in your actual exam. Third is next is gambling. By gambling, what I say is, what I mean is obviously, random attempts. So in an essay section, especially, people have this tendency that because there is no negative marking, let me type anything or let me try something. If I can, great. If I not, I'll just go to attempt type in random things. It's ultimately a waste of energy because when there is nothing given and you type something, if it's a calculated answer, you think that it's basically either 50 or 60, and I'm going to write 50. It's still a calculated risk. That's all right. You have no idea, you have no head and tail of what the answer is, and you still want to attempt a question, is what I would call gambling or random marking. Okay, so don't do that in essay. Especially don't do that in MCQ, because you're going to earn a lot of negative markings also. Okay. Okay, sorry. Vatsala, essay section is not SAESSAY. It is SA. S and A, short answer. Short answer section is a section where you don't have options. You have to type in your answer. Okay, so there is a question and there is a blank text box. You need to calculate your answer and type in the actual answer. So I'm sorry, I missed it. In fact, if some of you don't know, that's what essay is there. And there is no negative marking in essay. MCQ is obviously multiple choice questions. Every question will have 4 options, and we have to select one of the 4 options, and there is obviously a negative marking. Okay, great. Go on. Second last is method followed by madness. This is also what happens when people start strategizing. And in the first few mocks, after you start strategizing, this is what happens: method followed by madness. What do I mean by this? In that 40 minutes, let's say you go about exactly selecting, deselecting, and do all that what is required for the first 20, 25, 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Suddenly you realize that you are at only the 8th question and 30 minutes have gone, and there are 7 more questions. Or in the MCQ section, you are at 15th question and there are 15 more questions, and you have only last 10 minutes left. So then you start the madness approach. Then you start just randomly attempting things. You should not do that, even in verbal, even where the questions are easy. Okay, so if you are following that method, you have to follow that method to the last minute. Do not get into the madness rush. Okay. important is the last thing. Do not go in the exam with a predetermined number of attempts. In the mock, you should. Okay, in the mocks, I'm repeating, in the mocks, you should, because you are learning now. In the actual exam, don't do that, because in the actual exam, you don't know what kind of surprise is in store for you. As I told you, this year, our students went in thinking that in essay, we have to attempt less, in MCQ, we need to attempt more, but the difficulty level reversed and they were in for a big surprise. Okay, so very few students were able to manage that surprise in the actual exam. So when we also, as IMS, when we design the mocks in a way that in a few mocks we will keep, the difficulty of the each section we will keep varying in each mock. Some mock you may even find VA section very difficult. Some mock you may find SS section extremely easy, and so on. So the objective is that you guys are prepared for all kind of surprises. Nothing should be happening for the first time in the actual exam. But as a strategy, don't go into the actual exam thinking that I'm going to attempt 10 questions in essay, 20 questions in MCQ, and maybe 40 questions in verbal. No, that's a very wrong strategy. In the exam, when you start seeing the question, that is when in that sitting in that exam hall, you should calibrate what is the level of difficulty and therefore what kind of attempts should be done. Okay. Uh, Rudransh, yes, you will get the cutoffs for all the proctored mocks. So you'll be able to benchmark yourself, and you'll also get a national rank whenever you write a proctored mock in the proctored window. Okay. So yeah, these were the points that you should not be doing in your mocks. So in case you have already done any of this in the previous SIM IPM BBA mocks or anything, okay, do not do this from now. Okay. Simon, I don't really understand what is step marking in essay. Steps. I mean, you mean the steps of the calculation. You don't have to write the steps. You only have to write the final answer. Okay. So there is no step marking, if that's what you mean. Yes. Okay. Now, how do you attempt for both the quant sections, the quant short answer section and the quant MCQ section? I suggest you should follow ABC approach. What is that ABC approach? ABC approach is something that we tell our students every year, and this has worked especially for the quant sections. What is that ABC? Divide the questions into three buckets: abhi karo, baad mein karo, and chhod. Okay, so my favorites are obviously Abhi Karo and Chhod Do. Because the moment I realize or I identify a type C question, I'm very happy that I don't have to break my head over C, because yeah, this question, I'm never going to be able to solve this question. So I'm going to very happily put it in the C bucket. Okay, so I'm saved my effort. But yeah, so whenever you start a quant section, be it the short answer section or the MCQ section, you should have this in your mind. The moment you read a question, you should classify the question in one of the three categories: bucket A, bucket B, or bucket C. Bucket A, obviously, as the name suggests, Abhi Karo means the moment you read the question, if you think the question is easy, if you think you know the question, if you think you know how to solve the question then and there, and only then go ahead. Okay. Don't mark it to come back and solve later, because that just has a redundant wastage of time, because the moment when you come back again, you'll have to end up reading the question at least once, so you're going to waste your time. So don't do that. If you think a particular question is easy, it is in your known area or one of your stronger chapters, and you can also visualize exactly how to solve the question, the methods, the formula and everything, then it is definitely a category A question. Solve it then and there, type in the answer or mark the option and go ahead. Okay. The moment you go to the next question, again, classify the question as A, B, and C. If it is A, solve it then and there. If it is B, then just in your paper, you should make a note of question number. Let's say question number 2, I put it as B. Question number C, question number 3, I put it as B. Question number 4, I'm going to put it as, it's very difficult. I have no idea what that question is. I'm seeing the question only for the first time or something. I'm going to put it as C and go ahead. So when you finish the entire cycle of going through all the questions, you will have solved all the A questions and you will have listed down B and C questions, which means obviously when you come back, you don't have to go to the C questions. You have to start solving the B questions. Okay, that's how I want you to approach. Okay. Now, we are going to get into section-wise strategy. What is the first thing that you have to understand is in the short answer section, there are 15 questions and there are 40 minutes. Okay. 15 questions, 40 minutes. If you go back to the cutoff, okay, let me just take you back to all the slides, to the cutoff slide. Now, see here. In the short answer section, across years in the actual exam, do we all agree that the maximum that you need to attempt in the short answer section is 6 questions or 7 questions or 8 questions at max? Do we all agree to this? Do you need to attempt 10, 15 questions on 15 questions or 12 on 15 or 11 on 15? If you look at the history, it is maximum 6 questions, 8 questions, 10 questions. Why I'm telling you this is I don't want you to look at short answer section as a game of 15 questions and 40 minutes. It's a wrong way to look at it. This is how we look at all the sections. This is what I don't want you to. So when you see, don't see this as 50, I need to solve 15 questions in 40 minutes. What should you see? You should see this as I need to solve, let's say, 8 questions in 40 minutes, because this is the first mock and it is a mock, not an actual exam. Okay, it is a mock. In fact, I'm okay even if you keep a target of only not even 8, only 6 questions in 40 minutes. It's all right. Okay. Because when you are taking a target of 5 questions, 6 questions, 7 questions, 8 questions, to be solved in 40 minutes, even if you do 8 questions in 40 minutes, you are giving yourself 5 minutes per question. You have no idea how long that is. Okay. 5 minutes you are giving to every question. Then I'm sorry, but you cannot afford to be going wrong in that question, which means whichever questions you choose to attempt, you have to get it right. Okay. Accuracy is very, very, very important. Okay. So, whatever or however important selecting the right questions is, in my experience, what I have observed where students falter is not, in where they don't leave or where they don't leave the wrong questions. Okay. They select the wrong questions, they get absorbed into it, spend 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then they realize that this is not really working out, and then they will leave the question and go ahead. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy also, because the moment you see the next question, you'll have obviously exhausted some amount of your mental capacity. Okay. So in the essay section, because it is first mock or because it is one of the starting mocks, give yourself a target of maybe 5 questions, 6 questions, 8 questions at the max. Even in the actual Indore, you will not have to attempt more than 8 questions. 8 questions to be done in 40 minutes per question. Average is, even if you don't consider 5, it's still 4 minutes. So what is your job? Your job is to hunt for those 8 easier questions out of the 15 questions in all. Give yourself 4 minutes for each question and you are sorted. Okay. So how do you apply the ABC approach? This is what I want you to try in the first previous mocks. Slide, I've still said realistic attempts to be 10. You can keep a target of 10. You can keep a target of 8. I'm okay, because it is the first mock. As I told you, I'm okay even if you keep a target of 5 or 6 questions. First 20 minutes, go through entire section and you solve the easiest questions then and there. Okay, in a 15 question section, my estimate is that you should be able to find 3 to 5 questions which are easy. Okay, which are easy, which means the moment you read the question, you know how to solve the question. See, question may still take time to solve. You may still have to calculate, you must still have to think. That's all right, because we have time. So time is not as much of an essence in the essay section. Knowing how to solve, doing it correctly, applying the right concept is more important. Okay, so if you're able to identify at least even 3 questions or 4 questions in the first 20 minutes and solve those, I think you're all right. In the next 20 minutes, whatever B's that you have identified, you should give time to those and solve those questions. Okay. Even if you find 3, 4, 5 questions of the B category, let's assume you found the 3 questions in the first 20 minutes. Let's assume you found only 4 questions in the next 20 minutes. So only 7 questions of A and B, and 8 questions are C, which is a very, very difficult essay section. If 8 are C and 3 and 4 are A and B, you will still be able to solve 7 questions. And 7 questions, with almost 100% accuracy, should take you to 24 or 28 marks, which means you are at par with the cutoff. Okay, so apply this strategy in the essay section. In the essay section, it is very, very essential that you get your question selection right. Why? Because you have the luxury of time. Okay, it is, you are not pressed for time that you have to do, not only do the selection very quickly, you also have to solve very quickly. No, that is not the case in the essay section. So you should get your selections correct. Simone has a good question. What if you are unable to categorize questions into ABC correctly? Is there some way we can get to know for sure whether a question belongs to C? Uh, what I can give you, there is no right answer, or there is no common answer that is true for all. Okay, depending upon your own preparation level, you will have the number of A's, B's, and C's. Somebody who has not seen the modern maths module at all, even the simplest questions of trigo or function will be a C for them. Okay, somebody who has prepared everything, maybe a very difficult question of profit loss also can be an A for them. So depending upon where your preparation level is, you will have to get your ABC. But how do you get better at selecting? You should practice categorizing ABC in every single mock that you write from now, in every single benchmarking test that you do, in every single module test that you do. You just, as a mental exercise, you should practice ABC. But then how do you realize whether your categorization was right or wrong? After looking at the solutions. Okay, once you look at the solution, in the solution video, if it is mentioned, when you see the method, you will realize, okay, so this was indeed very difficult, or this was very easy, but I found it difficult, or this I found it very difficult because it was trigo and I did not attempt, but actually it was just 2 steps and I could have done. So I say, such kind of realizations will keep happening when you analyze the questions. Analyze by analyzing, I mean, you categorize the question in the test. After the test, you go through the solutions also. So that's how you keep increasing or keep bettering your selection quotient. Okay, you should get better at selecting. You still have a lot of time before the indoor mock. Actual indoor, not indoor mock, sorry, actual indoor. So whatever mocks that you write, every single mock you have to keep practicing the question selection, keep practicing the question categorization into ABC. And as you keep going ahead, you have to keep getting better and better and better at ABC. So keeping to get better at ABC is one thing. There is one more target that you should have for yourself. So right now, sitting, at this point in time, when we are doing the first proctored mock, when we still are a good, maybe what, 7 6 7 months away from the actual exam, it is possible that in an essay section, let's say, you have 10 C questions and only 5 A or B questions. But with time, with your preparation going ahead, the number of C's need to go down, and some of the C's should be converted to B's, some of the B's should be converted to A's. Okay, only then your preparation is in the right track. Only then you are learning more and more concepts. Only then you are able to apply what concepts you are learning. Okay, so you need to do 2 things from here on. One is to get your ABC right, categorization right, and 2, you need to better your ABC quotient, which means there should be lesser C's as you keep going ahead, lesser B's as you keep going ahead, and A's should keep increasing. Okay, and don't compete yourself or don't compare yourself with anybody else. Just compare yourself with your previous mock self. Okay, in the previous mock, I found whatever number of questions I see. In this mock, am I able to reduce that number of C's and convert them into B's, or convert B's into A's? Is what you should take yourself as a benchmark. Okay. So at least for this particular mock or the next few mocks, I think for short answer section, you should try this strategy of having a target of only attempting 8 questions, maximum 10 questions in those 40 minutes. Do not go after attempting all 15 questions. Okay. And do that ABC. The moment you see a A type question, solve it then and there. If you see a B type question, just make a note. If you see a C question, you can be very happy. You can get up and do 5-second dance and then go back and go ahead, because you probably have saved your effort and mental energy too. Okay, so yes, very very important again is to not get tired doing this in those 40 minutes. You will have to build your mental endurance also. So for all those, you should attempt the previous same IPM BPA mocks, which will just give you that habit of sitting at one place and not being mentally tired for 120 minutes. Okay, so I hope the short answer section strategy is clear for all of you. Anybody has any questions? I can take one or two questions right now before I go to the MCQ and the VA section. Kanak has a question: will all mocks have equal weightage of all the modules? No, Kanak, it cannot be that straightforward. Different mocks will have different kind of surprises, as I had shared earlier. Some mocks may have more number systems, some mocks may have more arithmetic, some mocks may have more modern maths, some mocks may have more difficult questions, more lesser difficult questions, whatever. But yes, Simone, it will be complete syllabus. Number of questions, Chaitanya, yes, they are fixed. Essay has 15, MCQ has 30, and verbal ability has 45 questions. Number of questions are fixed. Asta has a very interesting question, which I think most of you may have this in your head. Sir, is it okay if we skip a module and then do the mocks? I think the more, if you want to skip a module and do the mocks, if you do 2-3 mocks, you yourself will realize how important or unimportant that module is. If you realize that that module is very unimportant, it's okay, don't do it. If you think that that module is important, and whatever modules you've done, you have maximized those. मतलब जितने क्वेश्चन उसमें से आ रहे हैं अभी आप लोगों ने सॉल्व कर लिए, तो अभी इफ यू वांट टू गो टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल, you will have to do that module, then do that module. So I'm saying, if you attempt 3, 4, 5 mocks, you will find the answer yourself for this question. But yes, I know that this is a very very common question. I get this question lot of times. Yes, I don't see anything particularly in chat. So I think there is no question for the section strategy. So let's move on to the MCQ section. Khyati says my syllabus is 50% complete only as of now, so I can absolutely give it, Khyati. No issues with that. So in fact, as of now, your ABC becomes very simple. Whatever syllabus you have solved are your A's and B's. Whatever you have not solved are your C's. Simple. Okay. Do we read all 15 questions first, categorize and then solve, and solve immediately if it's A? Shushti, solve immediately if it's A. As I told you, if you're going to spend your time categorizing all 15 as ABC, then you come back and start with A, you'll have to read the A ones again. So you spend time again doing the A ones. That's a waste of time. So the moment you realize it's an A, then and there only you should do it. If it is a B, only then you should do it later. Okay, it is abhi karo, बाद में karo, छोड़ दो. So A's are abhi at that point of time, B is baad mein, and C obviously don't have to touch it. Okay. Chalo, excellent. Let's go to the next section now, MCQ section. Now MCQ section again, people look at it as 30 questions and 45 minutes. And does anyone remember good number of attempts in MCQ section in the actual exam? Does anyone remember? Rudran says 16, Simon 22, Piyushika 14, 15, 16, Kanak. Okay, let's quickly go to that slide again and see here. See, 6, 12, 10, 14. For ourselves, let's have a target of 15 on the higher side. 15 attempts out of how many? Out of 30. Which means what? That for us, the game is of 15 questions in 40 minutes and not 30 questions in 40 minutes. If you see if you realize the ratio has suddenly halved in terms of the time per question. You look at it as only 15 questions and not 30 questions in 40 minutes. Okay. And because it is MCQ, because there are 30 questions, the number of A's will be relatively more than the essay section. Okay, so here also, just for starter, because you guys will be applying this ABC for the first time in life, I have kept the strategy here also simple. Divide your 40 minutes of MCQ also in two parts, first 20 and the next 20. First 20 minutes, give yourself time to go through all the 30 questions and identify A's, do the A's then and there. In the first 20 minutes, because they are A's, because they are straightforward questions, even if you are able to solve 6 to 8 questions, I think we should be fine. Okay, give yourself that. See, when you are starting, I want you to give very, very conservative targets for yourself. Take very conservative targets. Don't be very ambitious. Start from bottom and steadily go up. Don't start from top and then you realize that you are screwed big time and then you come down, your confidence goes for a toss and you stop attempting indoor mocks and you stop attempting indoor totally. Don't get into all that whirlpool. Okay, start with very, very bare minimum number of attempts. It's all right because we have a lot of time. I would not say this had we been attempting our 15th mock of Indore. Because we are attempting our first proctored mock of Indore, I am saying this. Okay. So give yourself a target of maybe 10-15 questions. In the first 20 minutes, you should only attempt maybe 5, 6, 7 questions. Again, depending on your preparation level, how many A's you find, you should attempt that in 20 minutes. Okay. In the next 20 minutes or maybe next 15 minutes, let's say you took 25 minutes for the first cycle, which is all right. Then the next 15 minutes, attempt how many ever B's you can. Okay, very important is in this section, you have to be very, very conservative, very, very clear, very, very sure of your attempts because this section has negative marking. So I don't want you to be reckless. I don't want you to take that gambling approach that out of 4 options, I think A looks better. Let's mark A. Out of these, I'm sure one of the 3 options will be there. One option I'm eliminated, but I still want to attempt it. Don't get into that. Okay, do not attempt questions if you are 90% sure. Even if you're 10% unsure, don't attempt the question. Okay, for now, build a conservative approach. It's okay if we score less, but don't start earning negative marks right from the first. It's okay. There are a lot of other mocks where we will be able to, where we will try all these strategies. But it's a wrong. It's not a very good note to start our mocks where we get earn a lot of negatives. So attempt only as much as you can. Even if you can't attempt 15 questions, even if you can attempt 10 questions, I'm completely all right. But it is not all right if you attempt 15 questions and get 6 right or 7 right. Okay. See, this maths is very simple. Okay. Let's say you attempted 15 questions and you got 7 questions right. Can you tell me what will be your sectional score? You got 7 right on 15. What will be your sectional score? Can you tell me? Anybody? 28? No. 20 is the answer. 7 questions you got right. So 7 into 4 are 28 minus the 8 questions that you got wrong. Don't forget those. Those are more important. So 28 minus 8, you're going to score 20. You know how you could have scored 20 otherwise? How you could have scored 20 otherwise? Assuming very good accuracy. Only 5 correct. Excellent. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. मतलब 15 questions so attempt करने से better है that you attempt only 5 questions but with 100% confidence that you are going to get it right. That is more important. So at the start of your prep, at the start of your mock taking, do not go after attempts. Do not go after speed. Stick with accuracy. Okay, stick with 100% surety. Wherever you are 100% sure, attempt those questions. You will ultimately end up at a better place. Is that clear to all of you? Okay, so as an approach, as a thought process, get this clear in your head of not running behind more number of attempts, but being peaceful, being confident, being rest assured that I'm going to attempt less, but I'm going to attempt absolutely correctly. Okay, वो 5 का 6 हो गया and suddenly you're going to clear the cut. Understood? So That's what you need to understand. And again, as I'm telling you, we are still at the start of our mock taking. Okay, right now in this mock, let's say you start with only 4 attempts and you get 4 correct. It's an excellent performance. Believe me, it's an excellent performance in this mock. In essay section, you attempt 4 questions, 4 correct. In MCQ section, you attempt 5 questions, 5 correct. It's an excellent performance. Mock after mock after mock, you should just keep raising target for yourself by 1 question. 1 question, and that's enough. Okay, if you're attempting 4 and getting 4 correct, in the next mock, just keep a target of 5 attempts and 5 correct. It's okay. By the time we reach the actual mock, you will have reached where you wanted to be. You don't try to reach where you want to be 6 months later today. That is an unrealistic expectation from yourself. Okay, so yes, I hope you understand where I'm getting to, or what is my psyche behind telling you this. Again, I'm repeating, don't get into the trap of attempting more, being very fast and all that. It's all right. Okay, attempt less but get it correct. Accuracy at this point in time, accuracy is more important than speed. Okay, so I hope this is clear. MCQ section, any questions, anybody, please ask right away. Adi has a question. I think some of you may have the same question. If someone starts preparation now, like I have a fair idea and I have practiced modules, but could not really solve IPM BBA because of class 12, can I still crack IPM Indore? Absolutely. There is a lot of time before the actual IPM Indore. So you definitely can. It's stupid of anybody to tell you that it is too late for you to crack IPMAT Indore. And especially because you have practiced the module. So it is only about getting better at modules. It's only about test taking. So in fact, if you're not, I would suggest that you should take 1 or 2 SimIPM BBAs before you take your first Indore mock. Aparna has a question: how to reduce time taken to solve one MCQ. The answer to that, Aparna, is by doing more and more and more questions, doing more and more and more mocks. That's all. The stronger you are with the hold on your concepts, the faster you will be in thinking, the faster you will be in calculations. The calculations that are manual or which you have to do, there is no shortcut involved there. There you need to be obviously quick with your multiplication tables, with your reciprocals, with your squares, cubes. All that will help you do your calculations quicker. Okay. Abhiram has a question, sir. What extra prep are we supposed to do for these mocks, as they're going to be harder than the usual test? Extra prep don't do for the mocks. You do extra prep after the mocks. How to do that? Analyze your mock. Okay, once the mock is over, you will have video solutions for all the mocks. At least for IPMAT Indore, I would say video solutions are very, very important, because most of the time in video solutions, you will understand whether the question is A, B, or C. You will understand what is the best way to solve the question. So you should compare your own method with the method given in the video solutions to understand where all can you improve. Okay. Rohit, no, there are no calculators provided in the exam. Excellent. Okay, so I think we are done with the MCQ questions. We will now go to VA. Aditi has a question, sir. Can you guide us on how to analyze mocks? Aditi, there is a separate video done. It's on how to analyze a particular mock, but I would suggest that you do 3-4 mocks and then book a my plan with your mentor and help and ask the mentor to analyze the mocks. But there is an entire video, I think, on YouTube or even in our IMS portal on how to analyze a SimTest. You should go through that video. It has a lot of good insights, on how to identify the patterns when we are analyzing things. Sure. Let's go to the next section, the last section, VA. Now, VA is I feel at least VA, the moment you switch on to VA, the moment after the 80 minutes, remember, VA as a section comes in the exam after you have broken your head for 40 plus 40, 80 minutes in your exam. You've broken your head with profit loss, with geometry, with modern maths, with trigo, with functions. 81st minute, there is a VA. And what is the challenge in VA? You have only 40 minutes and you have 45 questions. Okay. No, you cannot change the order. You have to do VA at the end. You have to do the order in which it comes. So you have to start with short answer. You then have to go to MCQ and only then go to VA. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the cutoff slide once again. I think somebody also wanted to take a picture of the slide. This is the cutoff. Now have a look at the VA cutoff. Okay. And have a look at the number of questions that you need to attempt in VA. Now, when I say cutoff, it means these are the bare minimum number of questions that people have attempted to even get a call from IPMAT in the IIM in the. This is a bare minimum number of questions you have to attempt to get a call. Obviously does not ensure that you have a seat at IIM in the. So out of 45 questions, 35 questions are bare minimum. So obviously you cannot have a target of attempting just 35 questions because you will not be having 100% accuracy, right? See, I think in verbal, the game is clear. It is more the merrier. If you can attempt 45, there is no reason to not attempt 45. You should attempt all 45. But yes, because we are starting our mock preparation right now, it is okay if you take a target of 30 to 35 questions. For this particular mock, I'm saying it is okay if you take a target of 30 to 35 questions and gradually keep increasing that target. The moment you reach the actual exam, you have to be theoretically ready to attempt all 45 or 45. Okay, but as I told earlier, don't go with a what do you say, don't go with a fixed number of attempts. For all you know, in 2025 VA can be the most difficult section, and then if you go with the strategy of attempting 40 out of 45, you are going to end up earning a lot of negative marks. Yes, Virendra and Kanak, VA has negative marks. Okay, so VA is also a section with multiple options. Uh, so it has negative marking. Yeah, so VA has been historically the easiest section. Does not mean in future also it will stay easier. But most of the mocks also you will find VA easy. Uh, High scoring section, and because it is high scoring, the challenge is very different in VA. Okay, in VA, it is not about that we have a lot of time. Let's Shanti say do ABC, then we go back, then we do B and C. We are not going to touch. We don't have so much of comfort in the VA section. You need to read a question, attempt it then and there, and go ahead. Now, what are the areas that are tested in verbal ability? Is anybody of you aware? What kind of questions come in this section? Anybody? Idioms, vocabs, RC, yes. Grammar, parajumbles, critical reasoning. Critical reasoning, not as much, but reasoning is there, yes. So, yes, so you have vocab, you have grammar, you have RC, you have reasoning, maybe parajumbles, phrasal verbs, and all of these questions. Okay. Now, in VA, do you understand that in questions like vocab and grammar, there is nothing to calculate, there is nothing to think. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't. If you don't know, does not mean that if you're going to spend 3 minutes on that question, that answer is going to come to you, right? But if you don't know the synonym of some particular word, sitting for 2 minutes staring at that word is not going to give you the meaning. Do you agree with me? These are the important ones. These kind of questions, I mean, either you know, if you don't know, you don't know, should be your first questions that you attempt. So you are immediately get those questions out of your mind. Okay. So again, in this section, I've divided into two parts, 20 and 20. First 20 minutes, attempt the grammar, vocab, and the phrasal. Okay, grammar and vocab, there is less to think, there is less to read. Questions are relatively smaller in length. You obviously need to be, develop a good reading speed. You need to have good reading speed, but it's all right, because grammar and vocab are not going to be very lengthy questions. They are shorter questions. Attend these first in the 20 minutes, and in the next 20 minutes, start with reasoning questions or RC questions. Generally, in the actual exam, two RCs are asked. One RC is easier, one RC is medium level RC. Generally, the easy RC, when I say RC is easy, it means the questions asked in the RC are direct questions. So what I would advise is that you quickly read through the entire RC. The moment you glance at both the RCs, you should be able to very clearly say one is the easier one is the medium one, depending on the language used, the topic used, the kind of words that are there. It'll be easier for you to classify easy or moderate. And you get into the easier one. I think reading the RC and attempting 4 questions, 5 questions should not take more than 7 to 8 minutes. Okay. Then you go to the difficult one, and then start doing that, and then get into the reasoning questions. So as of this particular mock, when you are starting your preparation, again, I'm reiterating, give yourself a target of anywhere between 30 to 35 questions. If you think verbal is your strong suit, if you think verbal is your forte, then give yourself a target of 35 questions. If you think you are bad at verbal or average at verbal, give yourself a target of 30 questions. Below that, if you're going to start, it's going to be a struggle. Okay, so if you're bad or if you're average, start at 30. If you're good, stop at 35. Okay, don't get into that trap of earning a lot of negatives. You can always improve going ahead, mock after mock after mock. So if you're starting with 35, you can next mock you should give a target of 37, next mock 38, next mock 40, next mock 42, and so on. Okay, so that's how I think you should be able to tackle your verbal section also. Very, very important in verbal. Don't go only after accuracy. Speed is equally important. All said and done, you still have to attempt 30 questions bare minimum in 40 minutes, which means speed is important. And because verbal has RCs and everything, reading speed is also very important. So don't have no habituate yourself of reading. Make sure that RC is not the first thing ever that you're reading inside the exam. Have enough experience of reading books and all that, so that there is some amount of reading speed that you do. Abhiram, as I told you, if you're not able to solve 30 questions, obviously mock after mock, you should keep raising that target for yourself. So worst case, if you still, let's say, stop at only 20 questions, or you attempt 25 but get 5 wrong, you're starting with 20 correct, then give yourself a target of 22, 25, 27. See, everybody's starting point is different. Therefore, what everybody has to do in the upcoming mocks will also be a little different. That's where, in fact, you should use your my plans and get in touch with your mentors and have a strategy for every couple of mocks, every 3 mocks. So for the first 3 mocks, I will have, let's say, 5 questions in essay, maybe 12 questions in MCQ, and 30 questions in verbal. And I will try to do this in the first 3 mocks. If I'm able to master that, I go to the next level and increase 1 or 2 questions in each section in the next 3 mocks. So I stabilize them. Then in the next 3 mocks, like that also you can do. Okay. Simone says, is 35 questions a good attempt in actual IPMAT? Frankly, Simone, I don't want to answer this because I just told you that you should not go with a predetermined number of attempts. If you look at the history, 35 may just be an okay attempt if you have 100% accuracy. But that does not guarantee that in the coming year, when you are going to take, verbal is going to stay as easy. More often than not, probability rule says that it will stay easy, but you have to be prepared for the worst case scenario also. Virendra has a question: is this impacting on weightage of overall score for final selection? Definitely, Virendra. What marks you score in the actual exam has a weightage. Asta, there is no negative marking in short answer, but there is negative marking in MCQ and verbal ability. Okay, I think that there is quite a bit of confusion in terms of cutoffs and the paper pattern. I'm going to go to those 2 slides very quickly once again so that you guys can take screenshots if you need to. This is our paper pattern. And I have also put marking scheme on the right. SA has only +4, there is no -1. MCQ and VA has +4 and -1, which means there is a negative marking. Okay. Sanjana, let's not get into this predicting business for 2025 exams. There is absolutely no basis for predicting. The only basis that we have is the history. Look at the last 3-4 years paper. But again, that is not a complete prediction. So let's not get into all. Okay, I hope the paper pattern is clear. I'm going to go to the cutoffs now. These are the cutoffs. What you see in the bracket are the number of questions that you need to attempt to roughly land around the same score. Okay. Simone has a question: how can we access past year questions of IPMAT? Very soon, last 4 years questions of IPMAT will be there on your portal if they are not already. And in fact, they are as tests. So I would suggest that you attempt them as tests and then analyze. All the 4 past year papers have video solutions also. Saloni says, sir, should we start solving past year questions? I think you may want to delay this till after your boards. Right now, it's a little too early to get into the actual Indore level questions. If you just do the SIM IPM BBS and the mocks, I think it is all right for now, Saloni. Samyak, no, but this session is the recording of this session will be present on the portal, so you can refer to it whenever you want. SimIPMAT Indore does release the past year questions, don't worry. No, here there is no negative in the typing questions. Vatsala, sir, can you elaborate about the fixed order thing? Vatsala, the order of the section is fixed, which means you have to start with short answer section, followed by MCQ section, followed by verbal. You cannot choose what you want to do first and second and third. Indore decides what you want to do first, second, and third. Essay, MCQ, and verbal. Okay. Yes. So let's just quickly wrap up. I think we are at the last couple of slides. So we finished the section-wise strategy for all the three sections. Overall strategy, what I would put it is somewhat like this. For QA sections, IBC is going to be the key because the time per question is a little higher as compared to VA. But generally, VA is the game changer. Up till now, VA has a lot of people have missed the overall they missed the sectional cutoff of VA just by because of one question they attempted less and all that. So speed and accuracy, as I told you earlier, both are very important for VA. Speed, there is time for us to develop. Accuracy, you have to start developing right away. So it's okay for now if you attempt less questions in essay, in MCQ, in VA. Accuracy is very important. Okay. And roughly you need to attempt 50% to 70% questions in essay and 85 to 90% questions in VA. This is where you want to get at, okay? At the end, let's say somewhere in April or May of 2025. You don't have to get this today, okay? But this is where your target is. So keep this number in mind. This is where we have to reach, okay? Very important. Solve at least 10 to 15 Indore mock tests to try out different strategies. The more you attempt the mocks, the more strategies will come to you that let me try this, let me try that. Only then you'll be able to finalize something that works for you. Okay. Finally, analysis is the key. Only attempting the paper, only attempting 15 marks is not going to be, in fact, do any good to you. Analysis is something that is very important. After you attempt one mark, if you don't analyze, if you don't see where you have gone wrong, if you don't see where you have gone right, there is no value addition to you as a person before you take the next mark. Okay, and then there is no, if the input is same, output is going to be same. So don't expect radically different output in the second mock if you have not analyzed your first mock. Okay, you need to understand your mistakes, you need to understand your strengths. So you keep replicating your strengths, keep avoiding mistakes. You can always make new mistakes, at least don't repeat the older mistakes. And that you will realize only when you analyze your mocks very, very religiously. If you're going to take a mock for 2 hours, build another bare minimum 2 hours to analyze them. Only then you will get something out of that. Otherwise, doing that mock has not been very, very useful for you. Keep that in. Okay. So yes, I think we are done for today. All the best for this particular mock. Once again, just to summarize the whole session, we are at the start of our prep cycle. Test taking is equally important as the actual content solving. Because we are at start of the test taking cycle, prioritize accuracy over speed, attempt less questions, but 100% sure when you are attempting a question. Gradually keep increasing the target for yourself of number of attempts, mock after mock after mock. Okay, so if I have to summarize my session, these are the 3 sentences that I would summarize in. So yes, thank you and all the best. If whatever questions you have, please keep typing on the chat box and I will keep answering. Ashish, sir, at least how many modules should be completed for giving the Indore marks? I think 2 to 3 modules should be done, Ashish. Shaurya, should we finish to wait? Should we wait for syllabus to finish to start with mocks? No, Shaurya, you should start with mocks. Okay. If you've not done a single mock, I would advise you start with SimIPM BBS first and then get into Indore. Don't directly start with an Indore mock. Do 2 to 3 SimIPM BBS and then start with Indore. Do not wait for syllabus to get over. It's all right. Thank you, Vansha. I hope this session helped. Rajashri, actual exam is an online exam, okay, not a paper pencil. Okay, Chaitanya has a question on QA essay strategy. Essay strategy, Chaitanya, this is what it is. Keep yourself a target of 8 to 10 questions. First 20 minutes finish off solving A's. Next 20 minutes, do the B's. That's all. Yes, Rohit, the All India rank will be provided for this particular Sim Indore. Thank you, Divij. I'm happy this helped, and I'm happy you will be able to apply this strategy and steadily improve scores. Nitigya, you can go back and forth in a particular section. You just cannot go back and forth amongst the sections. You cannot go to essay section once you've got into MCQ, or you cannot come back to MCQ once you've reached verbal. Okay. Thank you, Chaitanya. Thank you, Abhiram. Saloni says, can we attempt a mock after the proctored window? Absolutely, you can, Saloni. It's just that you won't get a national rank, all India rank. That's all. But you definitely can attempt it after the proctored window also. Yes, guys, any more questions? I don't see any more things in the chat box. I don't think there is anything left unanswered. So yes, all the best and do well. I hope we start our prep cycle on the right note, on a good note, and keep progressing from there on. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you. Shaurya, what I'm saying is Sim IPM BBA. You will find this on your portal, okay, on the My IMS 3.0 portal. Thank you, Sanjana. Thank you, Virendra.